Good evening. So soon I'll go outside for supermarket and I need to buy some essentials. But I wanted to say something that I think is very important, but it's not going to be new. I mean, there are already 1,400 videos in this channel, and this channel all is like only it's less than 1 year old. Like I mean, and before that there were plenty of videos in YouTube and Facebook, and I mean Facebook, Twitter, and I'm my private Evernote account. So I mean, at this point, I cannot really add any new important, like I would say, information. Yes, there is still a ton of all sort of historical accounts and mythological accounts and things that might be of interest to people. I mean certainly they are of interest to some people, but I mean the important I would suggest that there is only one sentence that is actually incredibly important, which is I mean I mean God doesn't like Nazis. This is it's like a very short sentence, and it's kind of like enough. God doesn't like Nazis. That's it. So but it's not enough. So that's why I speak for so long, because it's not enough. People that they're not. It's not enough for people that God doesn't like Nazis. So, but at that point, it's really it's impossible that I will bring say anything new that is of importance. But so I repeat myself. But it I understood like a while ago that it's important. These repetitions are important, or at least they have some kind of importance, because many people they only they are like my existence is new to them, like they didn't know about me or they didn't care about me, and they for some reason only give credence to fresh data. I mean which is peculiar, because this is not like a universal human trait. Actually in the past it was common among people to actually only give credence to like ancient data. I would say that both approaches, are kind of, non-satisfactory. You should you should appreciate both ancient and like new data, and like you should have at that point in your history, after so long, so much like presumably, so much advances in society that never really occurred because you stayed primitive. But after so much presumed advance in society, you should have the tools that are needed to both be both appreciate and be critical towards ancient data, and appreciate and be critical towards new data. But it seems that in the past people only appreciated data if it was old, and now they only appreciate data if it's new. So and it must be super fresh, like fresh from the oven. So if I recall it like a month ago, it's they start to say maybe it was a clone, maybe it's like 3D Studio, maybe it's like Photoshop, maybe it's like was another person, or they must get it online, or I don't know, almost online, that they have all sort of translators. If they, and that was understanding. That was one of the main reasons why I switched to English, about 8 months ago. In this channel, in the beginning, I was the first I don't know 50 or 30 videos in this channel are still in Hebrew, but then I switched to English because I understood that 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 everybody can translate Hebrew to English. And it's not that problem. And from English, it's very, it's cheap and easy to translate to any other language if needed. But I understood that the issue is not just the money or the assets that are needed by various intelligence agencies in order to interpret Hebrew videos, but there is also a time issue, because it's super time sensitive. Because if you need to translate it, then you get a data. Presumably after maybe after several days, if not several hours, and it's not fresh enough, because they need it fresh, just for now. Otherwise it's outdated already. Like just one of the peculiarities of humanity, and again, I mean, this is it's not like the ego, which is like I mean, no, the nemesis, like the bacteria that always was there and always hunted you. No, so this is something new. Like I mean, this kind of like I mean, fetishism of like I mean, only news sources are I mean they are important. And again, in the past, you had like the exactly opposite. Like I mean, fetish. Like I mean, everything that was new was considered I mean of no significance. I mean, everything and this is by the way, historically was one of the main powers of Judaism, like since Roman times, that people appreciated that because they knew that it's ancient. Like I mean, just to say, like I mean, and it actually helped them survive. Many people, many times Jews says it's like it's common like in like among Jews specifically in Israel to say that I mean that I mean like contrary to all like other ancient like groups of people, Jews always survived up to this day, and this is kind of like I mean because I mean. And this is presumably it's like it's a mystery because I mean it is known that Jews were the people that were always I mean persecuted. Like I mean presumably they say that that more than any other people they were suffered by their neighbors. I mean throughout thousands of years, but yet they survived according to the narrative that is so common. And many Jews, I mean, even today, I mean, still even more common than ever. They say, I mean, the fact that people like, I mean, were, I mean, hunted us and persecuted us for so I mean, and all our neighbors hated us. I mean, wherever we were, all around the globe, for so many years, and still we survived. It's kind of like a testament that I mean, God is on our side, or at least that there is something very special about us that make us. I mean. Like I mean, you know, like that gives us this kind of like I mean abilities to survive against all odds. But this is actually, I mean, this narrative is extremely common in Israel. But actually, it says several like I mean flaws, both like I mean historical misconception and also I would say mathematical misconceptions. Like I mean, it's like there are both problems from like I mean the I would say the social science perspective and like I would say the natural science or mathematics perspective in this account. I should just say that I mean, of course, they weren't the group that prosecuted the most. There was tremendous. They were all throughout history. There were many groups of people that were prosecuted much more than Jews, and you don't know about them because they are dead. This is the first mathematical problem with this, you know, description. You just don't know or don't care because they died because they are dead. There were countless groups of like within Christianity and within Islam and within other like I mean strong like religions that the mainstream didn't like, and they are dead. I mean you don't know about them because they all either died or converted. So I mean it's just done. And it's not only true for small sections of people or small religions. It's actually true for even giant groups. Like I mean yesterday we discussed Iran. So I know very little about Iran, I must admit. I mean, I didn't have the opportunity to learn about everything. I mean, what can you do? I mean, I like to study, but I mean, there is like a limit to how much can you learn and study. So, I mean, but I mean, Iran, it should be, I mean, in the history of Iran, we speak a little bit about, the Cherubs, the Lamassu, and so, I mean, many people today don't know, but, I mean, when we speak about ancient Persian rulers that are very famous to this day, like Cyrus and like the one that was in that fought the Spartans. What was his name? Forgot the name. What is the name? No, for this one. I mean, that fought the Spartan in Thermopylae. Never mind. So these people, I mean, like of course, I mean, it happened way before Islam, like I mean, way before Muhammad. So of course they were not Islamic because it was I mean Jali. I mean way before. I mean there were Muhammad. So the question is, what was their religion? So the answer is that mostly the religion was, of these ancient people, was something that it was called Manichaeism, which is something that is, no, it's not. It's not only. No, I'm mixing now. It's not. It's not true. No. It's more complicated than that. I'm doing like a little bit of historical salad over here. I don't want to. Maybe I'll delete this video. I don't know, because the main point here is that there was a very important religion that was called Manichaeism, that was also very prominent in the ancient Persia, but it also actually it reached even as far as China. It was common in huge parts of the world, not only Persia. And even to China and many places in the Middle East, and millions of people believed in this in it, and it existed for something like 1,000 years. So so and it was huge, and but today nobody even knows about it. Of course, no, they of course academic. You can find about it in Wikipedia, and there are always historians that researched everything. But among the public, the general public, nobody even knows about it. And it was a huge religion that stretched. Throughout huge parts of the world, with many millions of people, and throughout something like 1,000 years, and so it was all deleted, and superseded by other religions, Islam, but other religions as well. And so to say that ancient groups, there were so many groups, and the fact that the Jews survived is not necessarily because they were persecuted the most, but it's just not true, because many times they were actually in relatively good terms with the other groups in relation to how much, in relation to other subgroups of society. They had actually a lot of strengths in the way that they conducted themselves, and this was related also due to the fact that people in ancient times appreciated historical kind of sources of authority. And they always appreciated the fact that Jews are ancient. So the fact that they were ancient, even in ancient times, they were still already ancient. So that helped them actually to survive, because it gave them some kind of authority. Because of this fetishism of the past. That people in the past, appreciated authorities of the past, and give no credence to new sources of authority. Just as the opposite of what we see now, that if his video is one day old, is already not fresh enough for you to actually listen to it. So today it's the opposite fetishism. But let's get so it's not true that Jews were always the most persecuted. Actually, many times, famously under Islam, when Islam was kind of started to spread all over the world, they were, mostly they had no kind of tolerance toward other religions. But they didn't, since very early, since, just from the inception, since Muhammad, it was already, okay to be Jew. They were, they let them, stay, do whatever they want. And live under, Islam. And it was always like that. So, this is an extremely famous example that just proves you the opposite. Because it wasn't like that to other religions. They didn't allow them to keep being whatever they are. So, and this was just from the beginning. From the days of, it was famous that it was done by Muhammad himself. So to say that, the Jews were persecuted the most is just, it's completely untrue. It's positively wrong to say that, because, they had all sorts of kind of, because it's not just Muhammad. This was also true in Roman times, actually. Way before Muhammad, that, the Romans were not tolerant, towards. Sometimes they were, you cannot generalize, but many times they were not tolerant at all towards, I mean, minorities, specifically minorities that were, I mean, gave them headaches, and the Jews always gave them headaches, but they actually showed much more tolerance towards Jews than they showed towards others, because they had this kind of like fetishism of the past, that they thought, oh, these people are ancient because they were already ancient in Roman times, so they thought they are so ancient, so let's, I mean, maybe they have something in them, so let's, I mean, let's give them some, I mean, more, like, I mean, give them more rope, as they say in Israel. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's translated well. Like, I mean, לתת להם more עוד חבל, which means, I mean, we more credit before we annihilate them. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure I'll publish this video because, like, the kind of like I mixed. The main problem, like, I mean, is kind of like, I mean, in this narrative is the confusion between Manichaeism and Zoroastrianism, which are related, but it's not exactly the same thing, because Zoroastrianism is a very ancient religion that indeed was common in Persia, and Manichaeism is kind of like an offshoot of that, but also become very prominent all around the world. So I kind of like I mixed two like ancient religions that, I mean, are not very widely known today, but I mean, it's not exactly the same. Both, I mean, are linked with two prophets. Like, Manichaeism was based on, like, prophet Mani was a prophet, and Zoroaster was also a prophet, and both are kind of like, I mean, gnostic in a way that I believe an eternal like battle between good and evil, and both, of course, are considered pagan, of course, and, like, I mean, by Muslims and Christians, and that's why they did not survive, because, I mean, because the world, like, switched to, I mean, to monotheism, like both Christianity and Islam. So, but they were both very, very common and, like, existed for a tremendous amount of time. So, I think I'll go to buy stuff before, I mean, the supermarket is closed.